Hey guys, welcome back for another episode of Not the Girl Next Door. I'm your host, Meg Reynolds, and I can't believe I almost let this season go without the third installment of advice from a reformed fuckboy, our favorite reformed fuckboy, Rob Don himself. If you've been listening to this podcast since the beginning, you remember Rob. Him and I are friends we met during COVID, which is crazy to see where we're both at now. And Rob has come and joined us in every stage of his relationship and his journey of becoming a reformed fuckboy. And so he's back with some more advice because us women never seem to learn.
Yeah, what do you got?
Oh God, we got so much. But first off, how are you? What's new?
I'm good. Nothing much. Just hanging out in the Big Apple. I got back from... I went on a trip this weekend. I went to Indiana. Wow, great place. Went to go watch a football game. Going to see Taylor Swift next month.
Oh, I'm so jealous.
Yeah. Besides that, everything's been pretty chill. Just been plugging away career-wise and enjoying time and my family and stuff. Everything's been good.
You have the concert boyfriend training down pat. You need to sell lessons for how to do that.
Yeah, I don't know, I like enjoying stuff like that too, like going to see a different city, and if it's somebody that an artist that we both like, I think that's a cool double whammy. Yeah, you get to see a new city, you get to see an artist that we both like, so
it's very, very, very wholesome. I love it for you. And so obviously the very first episode you joined us for in season 1, you and your girlfriend, I think, had just started dating. And then last year you guys were kind of moving in together or talking about moving in together. Yeah. And now you guys live together.
We do. Yeah. We've been living together when I moved from Jersey, which was the start of 2020. Yeah, for about going on 2 years, close.
Yeah.
This January will be 2 years, but we're definitely moving. So.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It's just being in the same. Well, she lived in this building for a year or 2 years before that, and then I came, and then I was we both were we gotta get out of here.
You're it's time to move on.
Yeah, dude. I want a nice functional elevator and some amenities. It's hard to come by in New York.
A functional elevator is just asking for way too much.
A dishwasher would be nice, a balcony, stuff like that. That normal people enjoy in all the other states except for New York.
So I shouldn't tell you my apartment has washer and dryer in the unit.
Yeah, and that's a rare commodity around these parts.
Not just in my unit, in my closet.
Damn. All of my free closet space goes to clothing, so you got me beat.
I do. I mean... Took the girl out of New York. We still have some of the traits, but it's fine.
Yeah, never leaves you.
So we're going to dive in right here. Have you watched Love is Blind this season?
I watched the first 3 episodes. I think the first 3 or 4 episodes. It was kind of slow, and then when they didn't let Leo and the other girl go to Cancun is when I stopped watching it, because I was oh, that's the funny. It's the most ridiculous story. Not ridiculous, but it would have been fun to watch. No, it was pretty ridiculous.
I think I kind of stopped around the same time, and I think I've just been really following along on social media. But I saw something today that I wanted to talk with you about because it's just so absurd. So I guess, I think his name was Ramsey or something. Apparently, Marissa said to him, this is going back to the condom debate. And we're starting this episode hot. So basically, I guess Marissa told him I'm not going on the pill, and he was well, I don't want to use condoms, and she was that's fine, we can just play our cards, and he was no, you have to go on the pill, trying to force his partner to go on the pill. And that just gave me such PTSD from my relationship when he tried to withhold sex for 90 days because he thought it would make him a more powerful man. And so I'm bringing this up because it begs the question, is that true that when men don't have sex and they don't do anything, that it's going to make them raise their testosterone and make them a more powerful man?
Honestly, I don't know the science behind it. I don't think there is much science behind it, but I think it's an old school guy thing from the 60s or 70s or some shit with athletes. Because they used to say to boxers, you can't have sex going in during training camp because it's gonna like mess up your head or mess up your testosterone for like your. It's all ridiculous. I think it's like I think a lot of younger guys get like the content they get fed is like I saw something about this topic the other day, which reminds me of that. But it's basically like a lot of the content is geared towards a lot of the content that gets fed to like young men. I feel like in America, at least, is like geared towards like that red pill, like weird, like men need to bring back their masculinity and like where it's just a whole weird zeitgeist that I don't really like. It's funny from afar, but like I don't really like involve myself in that too much because it's so crazy. But I think that's where a lot of it comes from. It's like, you know, like younger men feeling like the need to like control the relationship or feel like that's a masculine aspect of like being a man, being, you know, I think that's like leading in a relationship. I don't know, but I think it's kind of crazy to make a request or to like try to enforce that first off at another adult that has free will but like someone you're in a relationship with. So you should be compromising in that aspect, but it's crazy to say like, no, you need to take this thing that's going to change your hormones completely because of my needs. That's kind of insane.
Yeah, no, it's absolutely batshit, but I just had to bring it up because I was like, I just know Rob would get a kick out of this story.
Yeah, like that's one of those things where like you're watching it with your girlfriend where we're on the same level and you kind of look at each other in that moment like, oh, that's not something that's going to last long, that relationship.
Yeah, no, definitely not. And talking to you about the red pill content, I feel like, you know, you're right. It's like very funny to laugh at, but then when you recognize like how people who are impressionable actually do take that to heart, you're like, oh, that's concerning.
Yeah,
like
I
always.
Like it's a big problem. You can't have like 15-year-olds running around thinking like they have to dominate women in order to feel like there's like that's their masculine nature or like I don't know. It's great. It's just not like it's not setting a good standard for like young guys in this country. I feel like we've sort of like I don't know, during the 2010s we drifted towards like the like left side of things where it's like women like the Me Too movement kind of like pressed that forward so much that now I feel like it's like swinging back so far right where it's like, no, you guys are like, there needs to be a balance between both.
Yeah. It's like, it's crazy too, because I've actually noticed that too. It's like the animosity just keeps growing and you keep seeing all these statistics of like, by 2045, like 30% of women or something will be single. I don't know what the statistic is, but it's like in women
and I don't blame women. Oh, like, of course, like, look at the dating. I hear so many not horror stories, but like just bad stories.
No horror stories.
Yeah, horror stories. Yeah, on social media about like dates, which I also think is weird. Like running to social media when you have a bad experience about anything, especially something as personal as like going on a date with somebody. Because then like people will find the person. It's crazy. But like hearing all like the terrible stories, you find yourself as a guy, you know, at least I like to think I'm mature at my stage in life. But like you listen to these stories from girls who are like 5-6 years younger than you, who are like in the thick of dating. And you're like, gee, I don't blame you guys for like swearing off men or just like, ugh, it's rough out there.
Yeah. Especially too, like also, I think the articles that crack me up the most are the ones that's like the rise of single lonely men and like the dangers of the single lonely man. I'm like, that's really just women can be lonely too. We want good partners, but like we just can't fucking find them. And two, why are you still like the articles are all blaming the women?
Yeah, it's like it's that old adage of like, okay, well, who established these parameters? Who set the system up? And it's like you gotta have to blame yourself as a guy. But like younger men, where it feels like, or not younger men, but like yes, younger men that like are less mature and like easily susceptible to like changing their opinions or thoughts. It's like you kind of get lost in that because you get wrapped up in like blaming women, like you said, like, oh no, it is women's fault. Why I lack the social skills to like be able to like talk to a girl or be able to have like positive interactions with women. It's like, no, it's not their fault. You're kind of a weirdo. And then like you just have droves of guys who like latch on to that community and like it becomes a problem because like now, like you said, they're writing articles about how there's an epidemic of lonely, sad men. And it's like, well, I don't think it's really anyone's fault except our own. When you look at the landscape of how things work, you know, kind of literally for the most part.
Fucking literally. I mean, you remember the last episode you were on, I was just running through to you all of my like horrible Hinge lines. Like, some of those were atrocious. And for the people who weren't listening in that episode, don't you worry. I remember some of the worst ones.
Good, because I'm in my shot. So,
I'll give the top 3 worst ones. The first one was, "Are your thighs Nutella?"
Wow.
I still don't understand what that means.
What that means, yeah.
One of my guy friends said it was like something about spreading my legs, and I was like, "That's disgusting."
Okay, yeah. Eesh.
And then another one was, this was the worst one of all. It was, "I would be afraid to go down on you because your thighs could crush my skull like a watermelon."
Like, is that supposed to be a compliment? I don't get.
Like, I don't know.
Like, I get being like just really throwing it out there. I guess some people are bolder than others, but if it's gonna be raunchy, it's gotta be funny. You at least gotta have a nice punch.
Not watermelon punch, though.
Yeah, no.
I got this one the other day before I deleted my Hinge. This was actually funny. I laughed, but he just wasn't cute. It was, "Damn, you fine as hell. With that being said, may God continue to send you trash men until you choose me. Amen," with a little praying emoji.
That's pretty good, but also like he's wishing on your downfall, so like kind of a little shade there. Not bad though, not bad. That's pretty tame.
Not bad. Another one I got was, I forgot I screenshot these and I remembered them. "Damn, girl, what hotel did you steal them pillows from?"
That's pretty good. Normally hotels don't have the best fucking pillows unless.
Right, so it's kind of an insult.
Yeah.
I literally deleted my Hinge again because I was like, I can't do it anymore. Like, I just.
Yeah, I mean, I understand the convenience. I used it for a long time, for years, which was like Tinder, like
remember when dating apps were actually good?
Yeah, like I didn't age out of it. I got into a relationship by the time like Hinge was popular. So like I don't have any experience with that really much, but I have seen like it's like prompts or something.
Yeah.
Which I guess adds some like interest to it, like how Bumble tried to be like, no, this one's different. The girls message you first or whatever. And it's like,
well, now the guys can message you first.
Oh, they changed it? Of course.
They changed it.
Because not enough guys are meeting girls, of course.
So because I don't, that's probably why, but like they changed it so the girls' profiles, you can like put like a opening thing like that's supposed to like prompt the guys of what to ask you, and I'm like, are we literally holding these men's hands through dating?
That's what I'm saying. That's what I was trying to say. Like they complained their way into making the playing field even. Like, oh, I'm not getting any messages on Bumble. This is bullshit. Let me email corporate and say, why can't I message girls first? Well,
why do men want princess treatment now?
I don't know. I think I hear guys are in their soft era, so I don't know what that's about, but. Guys want to do the 50-50. Like, I understand on a first date, maybe it wasn't the best time or you didn't really get to know each other that well. You could say, all right, let's part ways. Like, do you want to just pay half of this? I guess. But like all of that, like, no, what do girls bring to the table? Or now it's on women to like plan a date or to like ask it. So ask a guy out is kind of bizarre to me because that's like.
I understand where the sentiment comes from because it's like, oh, if women are like can have jobs now or whatever, they have so much to offer us. But it's like, well, we just want to be equal partners. Like you still have to contribute.
Yeah, it's not like, oh, well, now, because guys be like, well, this is what we had to do for Boa. And it's like, yeah, well, not you. Your grandfather and your father did before you, not you.
Also, you literally can't even hold down a job. There's nothing, I'll always crack up at your videos about the broke boyfriends because they give me such
because those are the guys that like, and the funniest part is like, I'll read my comment section and be like, what? The guy, like, I'll get so many comments from men that'll be like, what? I don't see what the problem is. Like, what do you mean? He makes good points. And you're like, bro, you're literally the guy in the video.
You're the broke boyfriend, bitch.
So insane. And it's like, has nobody stopped like these like guys at some point in their life to be like, hey man, you got to get it together. It's not everybody else's fault.
Definitely not. Those are probably the ones that are still breastfeeding.
Yeah, I think there's like a sense of entitlement too, which is weird, but.
So obviously the girlies are here for some advice from you. They don't want to just hear their validation of why they're, being fed up with men is so valid. First things first, we were talking about change and changing people. Can a girl ever change the man? Like make him change?
I don't think it's so much that the girl you know, like cast some magic to like be able to like change a guy, or like you're such a forceful impact that like he's gonna change. But like I feel like as a guy, if you meet a girl who you really care about, you really value, you really see longevity in a future with, you're gonna make those changes, or like behavior, you're gonna manipulate your behavior. Not manipulate, it's a weird word in that circumstance, but you are going to try and evolve and do better on behalf of that person you care about so much.
You're going to be a better man for her.
Yes, exactly. Another, yeah, simply put, yeah, that's like kind of, I don't want to say the goal, but like over time, like, yeah, you, it's hard. And I think there's growing pains. And I think like you both have to communicate and be like really open with each other. I think that's where like a girl like the woman in the relationship comes in, and where it's like, in order for that guy to change, he's got to be able to feel like, you know, there's a safe place to like be able to be vulnerable, because in order to change and like be better for that other person, like you have to be vulnerable, you have to be open to that. So it's like, as long as I think there's like a safe environment, you're dealing with a mature guy, yeah, definitely like change, but not like you're not, a guy isn't going to do a complete 180 or be a totally different person, you know, sometime into dating. They're still going to be who they are. And like, you still have to accept a large part of who they are. But those, you know, those, I don't know, problem areas, whatever you want to call it, you definitely have to communicate and be open. And if, like I said, that person really cares about you and they want to be with you, then I think guys are open to like changing those aspects of their personality that maybe aren't the best for that relationship.
Emphasis on the keyword mature.
Yeah. There's a level of maturity. You're not gonna. All right, I'll say this: you're not gonna get some like 21-year-old guy in college who's like in the prime of his like young years to like really focus up and not be immature. It's just not. Once he's in a relationship, it's not gonna happen. Like the girl who's like finally waiting for the guy to like get into a serious relationship with, or thinks that like, for example, oh, if he finally like marries me, then things are going to be different. We're married now. Things are going to be different. And it's like, well, no, not really. If you never worked on anything prior and like you're thinking a relationship status or like a wedding ring is going to change how that guy's behavior is probably not going to happen.
I just see far too often like so many women like fighting like incessantly with their boyfriends about things that bother them about that person in the relationship, which is like fine, like speak your mind. But if you're having to like beg somebody to like change these things about them, like they're probably not the person for you.
Yeah,
like,
and it sucks because like like you really like not as a woman, but like you really love that person, you really care about that person, so you want them to change. You think that they feel the same way about you, which I think to your point is like that should open the eyes of like, maybe he doesn't feel the same way about me that I do about him.
Yeah.
So it's not really worth beating a dead horse. But I think it takes maturity again for a young woman to like realize and get to that point in her romantic like relationship to know what she wants and like knows what she should expect from a partner who like is supposed to be loving and caring and like wanting to do all those positive things for her.
Yeah, that makes total sense. Okay, so the next question, I had people write in, by the way, of like what they want to know. So he's constantly texting me. He's a really great texter, but he will never make concrete plans. He like won't actually plan a date or plan to meet up. Like, what should I do?
I mean, there's a lot of like, I feel like so many things come into play when like specific situations like that. So like, I don't know like how old this person is or like where they're at in
Let's
their
say
life.
They're like mid to late 20s. Like they probably met on a dating app. Like the intention is dating.
Sure. I would say then that guy probably's got like a few of those situations going on. Now, like if like me as a guy, I meet you on a dating app, whatever, like I think you're attractive. We have some banter back and forth. It's good. There's no reason why I shouldn't be like planning to hang out. Like that's the whole intention behind it. So it's like either A, he's a little too busy and he's just messing around on the dating apps. You know what I mean? Just having conversation, being flirtatious, just seeing where things go maybe. And for like he forgets about it or whatever. But if you're having a good back and forth with somebody every day, every other day, like things seem cool. And then it's like, well, when are you going to finally ask me to hang out? There's something behind the scenes that maybe he's got going on. Maybe he's got like, maybe he's legit got a girl or he's already in a relationship and he's being sneaky and weird, or he's just seeing and talking to a multitude of different, girls, and kind of, giving his time to the one or ones that like he's actually interested in.
Exactly.
Yeah, you kind of know the answer going into it. I feel like a lot of the times it's just needing.
You do,
like,
but these people don't listen to me, so I need apparently a man to say it.
Listen, like everyone could point. It's crazy how everyone could point out the red flags, and then we still, as human beings, will just continue to like do the thing that we were going to do anyway. So it really doesn't matter. That's one thing I've learned after a long time is that like giving advice to like friends about relationships or whatever, when asked, obviously don't offer your advice if nobody asked, is like people want to hear like something to confirm whatever it is that they're thinking or feeling anyway. And even when you do give them like solid advice, like I said, they're just going to do what they were going to do anyway. And it's like, it's whatever. It doesn't matter at that point.
Literally. Okay. So that's so funny because it's true. Because my best friend, like I'm the tough love friend. Like right. I don't feed into the delusions.
Yeah. You need one of those.
There will be times though my best friend will be talking to me about a situation and like I'll give her the advice and she's like, can you just feed into my delusion a little bit?
Tell me what I want to hear. And it's like, no, like you don't need that though. That's not what you need. One
time she was like, can't you just be supportive? I was like, I am.
And it's like, I'm not going to lie. If being supportive equates to me lying to you, I can't do that.
I just now feed in to her delusion that she is going to marry Riley Green one day.
Right. Fair enough. I mean,
that's the only delusion I will feed into. Yes, I'm planning their wedding.
He's a handsome, tall, successful guy.
I will feed into that all she wants. That's the only one I will now support. I'm planning their wedding as we speak. Is it true that you shouldn't sleep with a guy on a first date?
No, I believe the opposite.
Really? Well, define the opposite.
Well, if we're all right, let's
absolutely fuck him on the first date.
Yeah, no, not absolutely. If you're feeling him, like if you want to, but you're only doing it because of the apprehension of like, oh, what is he gonna think, or am I devaluing myself by sleeping with him? Then I would say don't do it. But if like you want to, I get if you want to, go ahead and do it. But it's like I don't think there's like I don't believe in like the stigma of like, oh, if you sleep with a guy on the first date, like he's never going to talk to you again, blah, blah, blah. I feel like for me as a guy, like if I have a good time with a girl and like we end up hooking up that night and like it was fun and it was good, like there's no reason why I would just be like, oh yeah, well, forget her. I'm not going to talk to her anymore. It's like, yeah, of course. Like we had a great time. Why wouldn't I want to keep doing that? And I also like, just me personally, it's like, if you don't want to be the girl that goes on like 6-7 dates with a guy and like, you're like, now you're in it. Like you have feelings for this person to a certain extent. You don't want to then like get to the physical part and it's like, oh, this is whack as fuck. Like this was not worth the wait. So like you might as well just get it out of the way because like that's usually like the last part, and it's an important part in a relationship. Like it's a decent chunk of like, having like a fresh, fun, like exciting relationship, and like sexual chemistry is important. And if it's not there and you find out you're fucking like 2 months into dating, then like, damn, that sucks. You just wasted your time. So I believe in not wasting anybody's time. If you guys are attracted to each other and you guys are having a good time, get it out of the way. See what it's like. If it's not good, then you move on.
I fucking love that. I don't know what I was expecting to come out of your mouth on that perspective, but it wasn't that. And I fucking love you for it.
Yeah. It goes back to like that red pill shit because it's like, if you're dealing with a guy and you find out like, oh, he devalues you as a person because you hooked up with him on the first night, then fuck that guy anyway. He wasn't a good guy. You know what I mean?
Something
I feel like it's not, I'm not going to say it's a win-win, obviously, but like, it, again, you get it out of the way.
Yeah. I feel something I always say too is like, what bothers me, I think about men, like in just like today's day and ages generals, I feel like they have like a lot of expectations of women that they don't hold themselves to, and just standards they don't hold themselves to. And that's like what I think is most annoying for me is like, I don't care if you would rather have a partner with quote unquote a lower body count, if like that's important to you, whatever, fine. But like, you should not be having like 50 plus bodies or 100 plus bodies. Like it's like, or like act how you want your partner to act. Like that I think is where I get annoyed. It's like, have whatever expectations you want, but if you can't even meet your own expectations, like how can you expect that of somebody else?
Yeah, sure. I see those conversations all the time. I think there's like a big immaturity factor and there's like a self-confidence thing with guys. I think a lot of time, like when it comes to like sexual prowess, it's like, it's kind of like, I like stigma wise, societal, you know, I don't know what the term would be, but like a sense of like masculinity is like being able to be a good performer when it comes to having sex with like your girl or a girl that you're interested in or whatever. And like when an immature or like a guy who's not secure with himself, he could be like it's usually younger guys, but there's guys well into their fucking 40s who are probably like this, where there's like, you're comparing yourself to like all the other guys she slept with.
Yeah.
Which you shouldn't be doing, by the way. But like a lot of guys get caught up in that like bullshit idea that like, oh, I'm not the best sex she's ever had, or I'm not like good enough or good enough to other guys she's been with. So like and then you can get into like a self-deprecating like frame of thought, like, oh, she's not gonna like me, or I'm not gonna be like, she's gonna embarrass me, or whatever. All like that immature like young boy feelings that guys like bring into situations like that, where it's like, all right, if this girl has slept with 100 people and I'm one-on-one, like it doesn't matter if like it's good and it's fun and we had a good time, then like she shouldn't or isn't going to care, or I'm not going to care because I know that like it was fun and it was good. So like I don't know, I just think there's like an immature thing of, you look at a girl who has slept with 100 guys, say, you think like, oh, she's tainted in a way, or like, oh, gross, like that's nasty, you shouldn't be doing that, because of like some lame idea of what you think it is to be like, what masculinity is or what femininity should be, or like, what a woman should be doing with her body. But again, like guys will go out, like you said, and try and hook up with whoever, whenever they can, and not really give a shit about what they do. But the girls that they date, like, or the girls that they want to hook up with, have to have a certain standard, which is stupid. I think there's a lot of immaturity involved and a lot of like ego.
Yeah. I think the ego is probably like the best way to put it. It's just that like, yeah, I mean, I can't say it any better myself.
Yeah. There's like, and I think a lot of the times it's like, like younger people find themselves in these like predicaments a lot. And then like, as a guy, you don't evolve, like you don't take the time to evolve, or like you kind of stay in a bubble and like you're like that for a long time. And it's just like, it's cyclical. And then, you're raising the next generation of shitheads, really.
I would rather not be part of raising the next generation of shitheads. I refuse to raise shitheads. So that's also like so crazy to think about too. Like something I've started thinking about like when I'm dating, because just like I'm at that age, is like, okay, like there is a good chance like whoever I date next is like could be the person, and like they could father my children.
Yeah. Like these are the things that's the kind of stuff you have to think about. And like, I feel like when you're dating, a lot of that stuff, but more like, the nitty gritty, or like getting behind somebody's personality, is like more important than like, what's your favorite sports team? Like, sure, that's all fine and well, but like finding out, I hate saying this, it's the lowest hanging fruit, but finding out somebody's political views, or finding out like how somebody feels about like really specific nuanced situations in like society. Like for instance, like, does it matter how many guys or girls slept with him? And if his answer isn't immediately like, nah, I don't really give a shit. If it's anything, well, what is she? No, that's it. Like stuff like that.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like with the political thing, like today's day and age, like you can't be, I think my biggest, like that's become a nick for me, is when a guy's like, oh, I'm not really into politics, I'm not really political. I'm like, must be nice to not have to worry.
Yeah. A lot of guys like have the privilege, or not even guys. I think, some people who like, a lot of us who come from privilege, not us. I don't come from privilege, by the way. Gotta be clear. You don't have to, like, political decisions, or like whoever is running the country at the time doesn't really affect your day-to-day life. Like it's not going to matter to you. But then like you said, like there's a selfishness in that like you don't realize, like, oh, your girlfriend, her body is her, I don't know how to explain it, like where
like her
autonomy is at risk. There you go. Like things like that. And it's like, well, I never really, you don't think about it because it doesn't affect your life.
Put that on a t-shirt.
Yeah.
Well, moving on. Next question that I got asked is, this one's kind of like vague, but it's more so like what to do if you're feeling, because like the way they worded this is so weird, but it's like what to do if you're feeling confused about a guy. Like if you don't know where he stands with you, like you're feeling confused about if he likes you or not. Like I always am of the thought that like if you're feeling that confused about the way a guy feels about you, like he's probably not that into you. Like usually it's pretty clear, but also maybe not. Like I don't.
It can, like, there's obviously nuance there. Like, it depends, like, specifically what you want clarification on. But in generalities, like, hey, is this guy into me or not? Like, depends, like, how long you guys have been, like, you know, seeing each other or whatever. If it's super early, you know, a month or so, I wouldn't, like, come on too strong with that kind of, like, question. Because, like, again, like, guys could be, like, timid about that kind of thing. Or, like, it could scare a guy off, I feel like. Because immediately a guy's going to be, whoa, she wants to be in a relationship. And it's like... Like, so again, it comes down to maturity. Like a mature guy's gonna be like, no, but you know, a younger guy's gonna think, oh, she wants to be in a relationship. She's asking, what are we? You know, that time old question. But I think it's appropriate at a certain point as both parties. Like, if you're feeling confused as a guy or a girl, to make it clear like your intention and be like, hey, like we've been seeing each other for a couple months. Like even like a passive text is fine, I would think. You don't have to say, hey, we have to meet up, you know, later today, we need to talk, you know. You just send a text like, hey, listen, you know, are we exclusive, or like, are you seeing other people? If not, that's cool. Like, make your intentions clear and like what your expectations are pretty clear, but don't do it in like a very like, you know, a strong way.
Yeah. Sometimes it's not what you say, it's how you say. And I think the tone is really, and I really think important.
Like for women, I'm just giving you an olive branch to like be like super passive and like laissez-faire about it, because then like just for the sake of like his frail little ego, because he's gonna think, oh, she, like I said, she wants to be in a relationship with me, she wants to get married. Like, guys are so stupid and annoying like that. You know, that's personally how I used to think when I was like 23, 24, when I was dating around. Like, oh, as soon as a girl brings up what are we, it's like, oh, that's it, gotta cut ties, gotta go. Yeah, because she wants something serious, when that's not always the case.
Yeah. A lot of the times it's like we just want clarity of where we stand. Like,
sure, yeah. And I feel like as a guy, like as a girl, if you were direct and honest, I feel like hopefully, I feel like from a guy's perspective, they will be like, all right, you know, I respect that, and that's good for me. Because you're also like, it's also a power move in a way. Like if you like not press them, but like broach the subject with them, it makes it, there's like a sense of control there, or like a sense of like I don't know what, like you're in charge.
Yeah, you're controlling the narrative. Like
exactly.
I think for me, like I've stopped when I'm dating, like I've stopped framing it as like a, do you like me? Where is this going? Where, like, what are we? And instead have been like, okay, here's how I feel about you. Here's where I'd like for it to go. Like, are we on the same page?
Yeah. What are your intentions? Because like, as soon as you said, which is true, like, hey, do you like me? Or like in a, obviously a less blunt way, but if you come at it from that angle, you kind of give power to the guy in the relationship, because now it's like, oh, I know how you feel about me, and I could manipulate you in a way, or you know what I mean? Or I can like I can string you along if I want, because I know like, oh, I have the power in this relationship. Rather, if you're a girl, you're like, hey, listen, we've been dating for 2 months. Like, I like you, but I need to know your intentions with me in this relationship so I can, carry myself accordingly.
I think a lot of the times girls like will stay too long with a guy and will hurt our own feelings because we like this person so much.
Yeah.
Like, and there's that idea, there's that I think like that scarcity mindset too of like, well, what if no one else likes me or whatever? Like, I'm trying to think of like how to even, like, I guess it's not even a question. It's more of like a general thought process of like, well, wouldn't you rather just like be happy alone than like begging somebody for the bare minimum kind of thing? Oh, this is where I was going.
Sure.
Brain fart is, oh my God, I lost it again. Am I okay today? Probably not.
Did you drink your coffee?
Oh my God. Like,
you gotta get your re-up your Adderall prescription.
I wish I had one. God damn. Yeah. Sometimes I could use it. I'm so fucking tired all the time, man. Oh my God. It was such a good point too.
It's called getting older.
I'm 25.
I know. It comes up on you quick.
I know. Fuck, it was such a good point too.
You'll find it.
I'm finding it.
Yeah, I'm finding it. I'm fine.
Dude, the brain rot is so real right now. Like you even said yourself, like for years you were kind of a shithead.
Yeah, for a long time, yeah.
For a long time you were a shithead. And then you met your girlfriend and you were like, this is my person. Like, do you believe that, like, there's always that fear that like guys, oh, this is what it was. It was like the taxi cab theory from Sex and the City. I feel like I've seen kind of resurgence of it being talked about on TikTok. And the theory says that men are like taxis, that basically where a taxi light is off, they're not available for pickup and they may pass on the love of their life. But then when they're ready to settle down, their light turns on and they'll marry like the first girl that they date, basically.
Yeah. I don't think that's true. I think there's some validity to that like there are some like, I think that comes with like guys who don't really know what they want in life, or like a more passive guy who's just like, all right, I'm ready to settle down. I'm 32 now. I should probably start a family. Goes out, starts dating, and ends up marrying the girl who he has the best on paper connection with. I guess that makes sense. And not necessarily like Sarah, who he dated when he was 24 and she like lit his soul on fire. You know what I mean? Like he was so obsessed with her, blah, blah, blah. I just think like, for me, I kind of agree in a sense that like you shouldn't, or I'm not as a guy going to get married if I'm not ready to get married. I think that's like that's a pretty like normal thought to have. But I think a lot of that stems from like women kind of like being like the good luck Chuck, you know what I mean? Like you get broken up with and then that guy ends up marrying, you know, the next person. And I feel like dating was different 10 years ago as it is opposed to now. So like a lot of those, like that theory is kind of like in days gone by kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like I don't necessarily think that exists anymore. But as a guy, yeah, I mean, you're going to get, I would think you're going to get married when you're ready to get married. And yeah, if the woman that you're with isn't the love of your life, I also don't think you're going to get married. So like, it can be both. I think it comes down to the guy, you know, if you're more of like a passive guy, you're not really sure like the direction you want in your life. Maybe you just do what everybody else does and get married when you're 30 and like, you know, have a family. But I think I would like to think as a guy, most guys would be like, no, I want to marry the person I'm the most in love with. But if I'm not ready to get married personally and I am in a relationship with that person, that's kind of, you know, it sucks, but it is what it is.
Yeah. You're too pure for this world because I feel like I just feel like my biggest fear is getting a shut up ring. Like,
yeah, like that's like for me personally to like relate to that is so crazy because I would never do that. Like I can never say, all right, like I've seen friends do that where like I've
seen it happen multiple times. Like even like people who are younger than I am, I'm like, you don't even like, you were just saying how much you hate them and want to break up with them and now you're engaged. Or like you cheated on them 2 months ago. Like what do you mean you're engaged?
Yeah, I knew somebody who was like always talking about how much they regretted the relationship they were in or like how they weren't happy, but then like they got a dog with that other person. So now it's like, well, the idea that like, okay, this will create a better bond or our relationship will be better or whatever. When it's just like, you're just trying to like, I don't know, distract from like the actual problem or trying to like find a reason to stay together. And like, that's kind of crazy. And like the idea that like you would just marry someone just because you think it's like what you're supposed to be doing is kind of crazy as well to me. So I don't know. I just don't buy into the idea that like, oh, I'm just going to marry the next girl who like is in my life when I feel like I'm ready or at a point in my life where I'm ready to get married. I would still wait for the person that like I was infatuated with to marry, if that makes sense.
And the last theory I want your opinion on, have you ever heard of Tinks's box theory?
No, I'm familiar with Tinks, but I don't know what the box theory is.
She came up with this. It's a dating theory that states when a man meets a woman in a romantic setting, he will put her in one of three boxes: that he wants to date her, he wants to sleep with her, or he wants nothing to do with her. And she says that it is difficult to move from box to box and that behavior doesn't affect which box a man puts you in. She views the theory as empowering and says that people shouldn't try and manipulate someone into wanting to date them, which I agree with that last part. You shouldn't have to manipulate somebody into wanting to date you. But
yeah, of course.
I want the thoughts on the box theory because
the box thing is weird. I mean, listen, she runs, I'm pretty sure she has like on Sirius, she has like a dating advice show. which
I
is
think she
like,
does. Yeah.
I don't know how old she is. I think we're around the same age.
I'm pretty sure
But
you
like
are.
a lot of that sounds like personal experience or like anecdotal. So like I can't really buy into it that much. But I can say that like, say as a guy on
She's
a night
34.
out, you know.
She's 34.
Oh, so she's older. She's older than me. Okay, so I'm sure she has plenty of dating experience. But again, I think that sounds like kind of personal and anecdotal or like a cute theory to come up with. But like I wouldn't say like, yeah, as you know, you go out with your friends, sure, you see a girl or like you're always, say you go out, you're like, you get to the bar or whatever, you're looking around for initially the girl you think is the cutest or the prettiest. You're going to try and talk to her. If like, I don't believe in the idea that like just 5 minutes after meeting someone, like, oh, like I would date this girl. I'm just trying to hook up with this chick, or I just want to be friends with you, or I don't want to talk to you. I don't think there's really like, that doesn't really make sense. You have to get to know somebody. And like, I don't think there's predisposed like categories for us, for guys that like, we're just going to put a girl in. It's like, if I want to sleep with you, I obviously want to get to know you and like potentially date you if there is something there. You know what I mean? And then like, maybe I wanted to date you and I was in love with you, but then you turned out to be a psycho and now I don't want anything to do with you. You know what I mean? Like, you don't know until you really meet somebody. So I think, sure, on the surface, it sounds like a cute, like, interesting theory that guys go by, and like that's definitely something. And like I don't mean to be like like shitting on like women, but like that is something that women would believe. Like I knew it. I always knew that like there's these categories that guys put us in, or like I hate things like a checklist. They have to meet my. So I think it's like it ties into those kind of theories where like. Sure, it sounds like it makes sense, but I don't think that's true. It comes down to the individual, and you have to get to know people. It's like I'm not gonna come up with a category for you before you even open your mouth. That's stupid. Like that's so insane to me.
No, it is. And like to me, I'm like people agree with this theory left and right, and I'm just like,
Sure,
I know
there's
like
such things as like a friend zone. Say like I think a girl's pretty and I think she has a good personality, and we go out, but for whatever reason, like it just didn't work, or we didn't like really see. There was no chemistry or whatever, then yeah, then like, okay, that girl would go into a theoretical like friend box, or like a box like I don't want anything to do with, or maybe we would be friends, not, you know, whatever. But I think that's like the extent of it. I don't think there's like a separation between like, oh yeah, I would only have sex with her, but I would like date or marry her. I think again, that ties back to what we talked about before, where it was like an immaturity with, like it specifically comes down to like the guy, like the the maturity level, the ego level is like, oh, like, you know, no, that's just one of those type of girls that I would only have sex with. I wouldn't marry because like she fits a certain criteria of like what society deems as like that kind of category. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like she goes out and she parties and she does
she's
blow
not
on the
wifey
weekends. Like I'm not going to marry
material.
that girl. Yeah. Meanwhile, this girl is like part of the debutante like fucking system, and like, you know, those stupid like pageants and shit. Like, oh yeah, she's in
Yeah,
pageants and she went to Columbia. Like, that's a girl I could marry. Like, no, those two girls could be the same person. So
yeah.
it's like, I think it just comes down to like, you know, individual chemistry, and you know, there's no boxes. I don't think.
It's just funny when you put it like that. You're like, that's literally so dumb. It's like,
Yeah, it's just like what are we talking about? Like, yeah, anybody could be like any. I don't think there's like, you shouldn't pigeonhole people. Like
yeah.
somebody could be wild and crazy, but also like very tame professionally or like in their personal life. You never know.
Yeah. I think a lot of the dating advice that like we just see nowadays, honestly, is also just so toxic and just kind of sometimes adds to the problem of like, do this, but don't do this. Oh, you can't double text him. Don't text him 24 hours after the date, but like make sure he knows you're interested, but like don't make him feel emasculated. Like,
Yeah, it's weird that there's like so many like micro, I don't even know. There's like micro things that like you have to be like aware of in the date. And I don't know. I feel like social media changed the dynamic of like how we date. Plus like all of those like do this, don't do this, and like advice based creators or whatever, the content that's out there, I feel like is just specifically for the idea of content and just adds into like the toxicity and like the shit you have to like sift through if like you want real quality dating advice. You know what I mean? Because there are some people who like are clueless, and like that's fine. But like you have to go through piles of like nonsense on TikTok to actually find like, oh yeah, that's actually good, solid advice.
right. What are your thoughts too on like the high value man, the high value?
That shit is crazy. I mean, listen, like traditionally, which I tradition is bullshit to me. I don't really believe in. I think tradition is stupid for the most part in most things, except like Christmas. I fuck with Christmas. Anyway, I like, who doesn't like getting gifts? Like the idea that like the guys were the breadwinner for so long, women either weren't allowed to work or worked in limited capacities and like didn't really climb the corporate ladder the way they do now. Or there's like career women who like put like a family and all of those things like aside or on hold because like that's way more important to them, which is dope. That's great that we got to that point in society. But again, the amount of money you make shouldn't determine like the control you have in like a relationship, or if you think like I make a certain amount of money, my partner has to do X, Y, and Z for me because like, oh, I've earned this because of the amount of money I make. I don't know. I think it's all pretty stupid. Because again, you're just two people in a relationship. But I think it's like part of that red pill, right wing, like weird zeitgeist dynamic of social media and the internet of like, a lot of guys fall into that trap of thinking like, oh, I have all the power and authority in the dating pool because I make X amount of dollars. And it sucks because I think we're still like behind the 8 ball with that, where it's like, yeah, people look at that. You get affirmation from other guys who say like, no, yeah, you are the man. You are supposed to be controlling all aspects of the relationship and you should be getting X, Y, and Z in return because you do make that amount of money. And society tells these guys like, you're the big swinging dick. You're the most important guy in the room because you make $500,000 a year. But I think, and then also like women fall into that too, because like, oh, what is society telling you? The guy who makes the most money is the most valued. So like you put up with that kind of shit to a certain extent. I see girls put up with a lot of like misogynistic, like chauvinistic, shitty things from their partner or boyfriend or husband just because like they make a certain amount of money and they hold a lot of the power in the relationship dynamic. But I think it's, if a guy's making the emphasis of how much money he makes before you even go into a relationship, or like setting standards because he makes X amount of dollars before you even really start getting into like a flow of dating, then that's not somebody you want to be involved with. I just think the whole, like that, all that red pill shit is crazy to me.
So basically, don't be Leo from Love is Blind.
Yeah, don't like that guy. I don't believe that guy was rich at all. Like
I don't think he was that rich. I feel like
nobody with any sort of substantial amount of net worth or assets is talking about how much money they have to that extent.
And if they are, they're overcompensating.
Yeah, they're full of shit. Yeah, that guy's making up for something. I don't know what it is. I don't even know what he sells fine art. Apparently,
he was like a fine arts dealer or something.
Sure, he was. He inherited a business. Like, shut the fuck up. Who cares? He's like, I have a Rolex. I'm just saying. Like, okay. Like, I know the guys. I've seen baristas at Starbucks with Rolexes, bro.
I'm waiting for the day it comes out that Rolex was fake.
Yeah, right? His whole fraud ass background.
Who the fuck did I marry?
Do more investigation on that show. I think they do it on purpose, though. It's like a social experiment.
Well,
they know what they're doing.
Like the first few seasons were actually great, and now
it was good. The first, there's still a few people who are married from the first season. I'm pretty sure
there's like from across. I think like the first 3 seasons or 4 seasons, there's like a bunch of people that are still married, but now it's like people just go on it for like just the clout.
Like you're gonna get 50,000 followers coming out of this stupid thing. So
well, like one of the girls, she apparently like quit her job before she went on the show because she like knew she would become an influencer or something. And I'm
that's so insane to me.
That's crazy. Like that's crazy to me.
Yeah, and like you're only as popular as the show's popularity is. So like as soon as the next season comes out, like nobody gives a shit.
Yeah. No.
It's just so stupid. Which is crazy to see Harry Jowsey still out here doing his thing.
Well, that man.
Like just to see like, sorry, not him specifically, but like some of the influence or like the people who were on those shows back in the pandemic when they first came out. Still like, you still see them doing their thing.
He marketed himself right, but also let's be real, he's a 6'6" tall ass man.
That's really all it comes down to a lot of times. Just you got to be tall. It's crazy.
To be a high value man, to be a high value man, you have to be tall and you have to make a lot of money.
Yeah,
I think that's what the internet wants to hear.
Yeah, right.
The guys are like, "See, I knew it."
Yeah, see. Every guy, he's 6'5". It's so easy. And you're like, bro.
It's not true. Stop lying about your height on your Hinge profile. Thank you very much. Like,
yeah, the 5'9" you usually get like the 6'1".
Yeah.
6'1" on a good day in the bio. And you see them in person, you're like, wait.
No, I had that happen once for a guy. I think his profile said he was like 5'9", and he showed up and we were like almost eye level. And I was like,
oh man,
baby,
you gotta give
I'm
like
5'4".
There's a grace period of like a couple inches.
Oh, I have my 2-inch rule. I always talk about my 2-inch rule. I always subtract 2 inches.
Yeah, you kind of have to. I feel like everybody does that.
Womp womp.
Yeah, it's tough. Gotta be true to yourself. You're gonna get further just being honest from the jump than you would be if you tried to weasel your way in.
But girls should have to put their weight on their dating profile.
Yeah, right. You get shit like it's so God, I couldn't relate to something less.
I just love how you're like, oh my fucking God, because you're like, it's so tough.
Yeah, because like I'm at the point in my life where like I'm so thankful like I don't have to deal with any of that shit. But also I feel like if I was on the open market, like I would be like a breath of fresh air for most girls.
Gassing yourself. Or you'd become your fuckboy self again.
Yeah, probably. Like I'd be, yeah. No, not now. Definitely not now. I've matured too much. Like you can't regress.
You're like, no, I can't.
I'm like an animal that's like been at the zoo. Like I wouldn't do well in the wild anymore. I'm too domesticated. I wouldn't even know where to start, honestly.
I'm too domesticated. I can't. Oh my goodness. Well, I'll let you go back to your, what is it called? Your enclosure?
Yeah.
Your enclosure?
I'm here by myself, just going crazy. Actually, I'm just going to make some lunch. That's about it.
I love that for you. But thank you so much again for joining me. It's always good chatting with you. And,
of course.
You know, hearing all your takes because you're just so blunt and to the point.
Yeah.
As always.
Yeah, sometimes I ramble a little bit, but I love advice questions. That's one of my favorite things.
You're just a yapper. But for the people who don't already follow you on socials, where can they find you?
RobDon567, Instagram and TikTok. Soon I'll be on other platforms, but for right now, just those two.
He's starting his OnlyFans, people.
Yep. Feet pics are inbound very soon. Get your wallets ready.
Put the dogs away.
Yeah.
Anyways, well, that's all for me for this episode of Not the Girl Next Door. Obviously, we couldn't let this season go by without having Rob back on, and we're coming to the end of this season. So make sure you're tuning in every week and staying up to date with us. And if you don't already follow the podcast on Instagram, it's at Not the Girl Next Door Podcast. Leave us a 5-star review wherever you're listening, and I will see you guys next week for another episode.
See ya.